shower, so my hair's wet. Today is Open Forum Saturday on the OG channel. So, yeah, we got our morning coffee with the egotistical narcissist mug here with the cool heavy metal logo. So, and it's beautiful out here. Man, it's like perfect. No wind. It is supposed to rain today, but you know, we'll see. There's some notifications, so we'll take a look at it. And we're off. All right. We can do the all chat. Live chat. Yeah, it's already in live chat. So, anyways, good morning. WCF Invader, what's up, man? What is up, my friend? There's a few important things I want to talk about today. So we'll get some more people in here. I have a decision to make, and I'm not sure which direction to go. So hopefully some of my musician friends. You know. How do you deal with retirement? It's been 2 days, and I already miss parts of trucking. Here's how you deal with it, Don. Number one, here's how I deal with it. I'm not going to tell you what to do. With the things that are going on at home, and it allows me to be more present for my kids. And once you kind of put it from that perspective, the parts of the road that you miss will be outweighed by being present at home. You're going to see things that you may have missed. Now, you were home quite a bit anyway, so it's not like you were like some OTR 3-month out kind of person, but which is good because your kids are at that age where they need that balance. For me, I really, you know, look, I was born in, you know, like I was born to be a trucker, you know, that's how I feel sometimes. And my dad was a truck driver. I was interested, I had an unhealthy obsession with semi-trucks before my dad was a truck driver. And the parts that I miss are like the open road in Wyoming, or the open road in, you know, Montana, or, you know, the late night drives where you're the only one on the road and you're listening to great music. Those aspects I do miss, but not to the point that it makes me want to get back in the truck. When Jeff bought this most recent yellow truck, I did the YouTube short on the other channel for. At first I was kind of excited and I was bummed that they wouldn't let me drive the truck around the lot, but at the same time, I was dreading if I had to take it up there to Chicago. So, but I didn't have to do that. The dealer took care of that. And I don't know. I was kind of hoping to do that just to see if I did miss it, but it helps that I'm still entrenched in the industry. It helps that I see everybody struggle every day on what's happening in the trucking industry with the fraud and with the technology. And I feel like I serve drivers better in the position that I'm in now versus just driving a truck. So I don't miss that check engine light coming on and creating that dread, you know, not that I couldn't handle the repair, I just didn't want to deal with it. And so when the drivers broke down and they're not sure what to do, I try to be very sympathetic because I know what that feels like. So, you know, it part of me, like, there's maybe a 10% of me like would like to go in a truck for a couple of days a year, and that's about it. So but it helps that well, I don't do the subscriber. Well, I don't know if I can do that in the settings. It this live feed and the vertical thing, Buck Brown, is meant to get some new people in, so it's all right. I just need moderators to kind of be on their A game. That's all. If I have any in here, I don't think I have any in here. So I don't feel retired. I think that's the part. So I've got a friend of mine that's having to go back to driving for a minute, and he's looking at an avenue that's not your typical trucking. So, but Mr. B is like, I have no desire to climb back into a rig at all. I think the bad outweighs the good for me, and I look at the years that I've missed with my family and how that's affected them a little bit. So I think that's what keeps me grounded on not wanting to be. I always thought, here's the weird part. Okay, so part of my weight gain that I had, or my food choices that I had, was based around guilt of enjoying my job. Like, I enjoyed trucking. And here I am in my dream job with this dream scenery, and missing, and I felt bad that my family was missing out on that. So like when we went to Florida as a family vacation, about 10, 12 years ago, it was nice to be able to show them what I see and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of neat, but and some of the best bonding moments that I had with my son was just like me when I was a kid, riding with my dad, was when my son was riding with me. My daughter wasn't too much into it. But I always felt guilty. Here I am, like I remember one time I was in Wyoming, and beautiful sunrise, and I'm just like, perfect temperature, and life was good, and my wife was having a hard time at home, and I felt bad about that because I also felt too far away as well. So I think those things outweigh the desire to just get in a truck. The first time I have to get fuel, or the first time I have to deal with a shipper or receiver, I'll probably lose it. So, but what are you gonna do? But that's, Speed Trap this weekend for some strange reason. Isn't retirement when you put new tires on the truck, right? Truckers keep the world running. Yes, they do. Have you seen the video of Bin Laden singing Poker Face? No. Mr. B's howdy from North Carolina. Max is bringing up politics. Lovely. Good morning, everyone. T-Bone, what's up? Name that I won't. From Greece. Hello. Chris Howard, good morning. Everybody's saying hi to each other. Southbound, I got my hazmat tanker endorsement and am delivering propane to rural homes and businesses in New Mexico now. I have no desire to go back to OTR. Good on you, man. Good on you. Not me, bro. I got maybe 6 or 8 rigs across the street, and I ain't driving any of them. Josh says, should truckers carry pew-pews? Yes. SP, I once did similar things. I met some interesting customers. Let's do this here. Oh, I can't do that from here. Let's see. get some. Sorry, I'm gonna fix something here. Oh, come on. There you go. All right. So, there you go. Don, I made you a moderator. And T-Bone, I'll make you a moderator. There we go. There. And we'll get rid of this guy. There we go. There you go, Don. And T-Bone. I made you guys moderators. One of the things I was looking forward to getting off the road was, number one, music. I want to start doing music again. And it's been a slow project. And I have one more thing. So I about 20 years ago, I bought this drum machine. Actually, about 20 years ago. It was right when my wife and I first got married, so that'd be 24 years ago. I bought this drum machine. It's a Boss Dr. Rhythm 550. And I had learned it enough to create 4 songs with it. And I've been meaning to bust it out and bring it out because the drummer that I usually utilize, the guy that was in our second band, it's tough for him to come out to jam. And when we do, it's not very fruitful. We're just having fun jamming together. We're not creating anything. We're just jamming off the top of our heads, which is fun, which is fine, but I actually want some structure to songs. And so I've been looking at drum machines, so I thought, well, I got a drum machine, so let me bust that out. So last night I busted it out, and I realized after 25 years, I don't know how to use the dang thing. Some of the buttons were sticking, and I couldn't get it out of wrap mode, so, and I couldn't see the buttons, like the printing for the buttons had faded. And so I was just kind of like stumbling around in the dark with it. So I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to get something else. And so I've been researching 2 different, I guess they make drum machines and a little pedal now, which is all I need. I don't really need to program, intricate drums, because I want to write with it, not perform with it, or I don't want to replace a real drummer, right? Thank you, Timothy. So I'm looking at 2 different drum machine pedals. One is the Beat Buddy Mini, and the other one is the Mooer Drummer X2. So I've been doing some research on that. So my YouTube feed is all weird. Like it's all like about food stuff, and it's about drum machines. So Timothy, I was in a band called Apnea. We're on Spotify and iTunes. The 2 capital A's at the end of the word. We were a death metal band for 16 years. And 2016, we disbanded. I started a new band, which is more of the doom variety, called Sulk, S-U-L-K. We wrote about 6 songs, and then we stopped due to COVID, and then we just never really picked it back up. So that's where I'm at. So short answer is yes and no. But So if you go on Spotify, let me do this here. I'll show you the Spotify link. I don't know if the link will be too long for the YouTube deal. Yeah, it's probably too long. It's not letting me put a link in there. Anyways, when you go to Spotify, it'll look like that. Carl Dahmer did the cover art. If you know who that is, he's a big time artist that does a lot of death metal and punk bands. Oh, it's starting to rain. So, pretty proud of the stuff. Our earlier stuff was a little bit more primitive, but we progressed over time. So, yeah, check it out, Timothy. All right, let me get to the comments here. Ugh, music. Yay, drum machine. T-Bone. Well, T-Bone, you want to come over, we'll jam. There's that. And that's the other thing. Yeah, I won't talk about that part. Thanks, Timothy. I should make that a band instead of just a logo. But here's what I miss. Pulling up in the rig, and all my buddies are at the stop, chilling out, having a big barbecue, just hanging out, shooting the crap. I guess that's why I get on all of these. I mean, there's definitely a community aspect, and here's the thing. I was hoping the Joplin Guilty by Association truck show was supposed to have been last year, and it got essentially stormed out. Joplin don't mess around with thunderstorms anymore after that big tornado. So they canceled most of the affairs. So we never got to go to that truck show, and I was hoping to go because that would kind of, and then I was hoping to go to Matt's last year, and I didn't get to go to that. And that was going to be another test of whether I really wanted to get back a rig. But you know what? I enjoyed what I'm doing now, despite the stress it brings me. And a lot of stuff has happened at home that I was so glad I was home for. My kids are, turning into adults, and so I'm having to help them with their vehicles and the pressures of being an adult, and I've been able to be more present for them. So, Jam Session Gym Store Office. There you go. I missed the Brotherhood. I guess I should have outbid Flip for that book. Still not wrench worthy. We already talked about the band stuff. Snorelord, did you ever check out the band Lorna Shore? Yes and no. I think I've heard them a few times on satellite, but I'm not, I've been stuck on 2 or 3 bands right now, so. I thought you were going to play it for a second. Wouldn't it be ironic you get a copyright strike from your own music? Yes, Marty, there is songs on YouTube. On this channel, there's some apnea stuff. There's actually some early live shows on this channel as well. So, suggest for the next band, Snorelordians. Oops. Yeah, I hate adulting. Well, it's. Look, in 2020, this is going to get kind of cuckoo here, okay? In 2020, there was an evil presence that just swatted the whole entire world. And And something changed in our kids. You know, Driver and I were talking about that yesterday because he saw the same exact thing. And people who aren't parents didn't see it as sharply. The whole country essentially turned into this perpetual Saturday with fearful mongering entering into their households. And anger, too. You either were fearful or upset of catching something, or fearful and upset of the people that thought it was a hoax, or fearful and perpetual Saturday thinking about all the things that are going wrong and the added stress of the financials and, you know, having to homeschool your kids and or allowing the public school system homeschool your kids. And people's fear of losing their jobs, losing their livelihoods. A lot of people did lose their livelihood. I mean, it was like a nuclear bomb just went off across the whole country, at least. And everybody in my circle and beyond, you can see it online, everybody started to have issues accelerated after 2020. You know, I lost a couple of friends I almost said the S word, to taking care of you dying of old age quicker. You know what I'm saying, the S word, right? And YouTube doesn't allow us to use that word. So I lost a couple of friends to that. Because it's tough to get out of your own head. And I think that's part of my problem with my creativity block that I'm having with music is I didn't have this. The last song I wrote was in 2016. I not even 16, 2015. The last song I wrote was called Orchestrating My Nightmare. It was about my battles with food addiction. And it was literally the last song that I orchestrated and put together with the band. You know, the band helped, of course, but man, that's almost 10 years ago. 10 years ago, the world was different. I wasn't glued to these cell phones. I wasn't, you know, I was just driving a truck and running my business, and even then that took a lot of my brain power. And self-deleting, that's a good way to put it. And as we progress, I'm seeing some spiritual warfare going on right now too. And so I try not to dwell on these things. I try not to dwell on the negatives. You know, if I'm watching too much YouTube, you know, I try to calm down, you know. So a lot of times I'll soften the light in my office and put on some Viking music and just kind of use it as background, and you know, but usually it's interrupted with a phone call or you know, when I got to call brokers and things of that nature. And it goes feast to famine pretty quick. Yesterday at 9 a.m., like 15 things happened at once. And everybody wanted to get a hold of me right after my live feed yesterday. So, but there was a huge evil that was released that, and if you didn't have any conditions, it created them. If you already had conditions, it accelerated them. And I remember during the Floyd riots where I was sitting there on my couch, if I was home, and just watching these live feeds of the rioting that was going on. And the closest thing that we've had to experience that in our lifetime were, well, we had the Ferguson riots in St. Louis, but also before that, the Rodney King thing. And it was horrifying to see the manipulation of the media, because there's a documentary on what really happened on that, and they have different footage that wasn't even like allowed to be shown in court. And that was a bad deal. That just shows you how manipulative the press is. And with this election cycle, man, it is through the roof, to the point that even being on YouTube has been it's been bearable, right? So, but I remember, and then I read later that your cortisol level still gets jacked up just watching the riots, watching crime stuff, watching, like, and that was about the time I started gaining a little bit of the weight I lost back, and I started losing my momentum in my keto journey. It's not that I fully fell off the wagon or anything, but I was, well, I'll do a couple of the keto cheats, and find it, and not realizing that was just as processed as anything else. And gained 40 pounds back, but then I'm on track. I'm only 25 pounds away from, no, I'm only 20 pounds away from my lowest weight after my big, huge weight loss. I was at 275 this morning. And I'm still doing the carnivore thing. I still feel great. I actually ate dinner with the family last night because I cooked burgers. And I was getting ready to do a recorded video, but then it got interrupted, and I'll just go live today instead. So, but that's why I'm glad I'm not on the road, because things are fixing to kind of accelerate, I think, when it comes to the social issues that we have. And regardless of who goes in the office, it's going to be a bad scenario. And there's either, each side is threatening to rebel against the other side. And the social media and the news is feeding that. They're the beast feeding the machine. And meanwhile, our families are being broken apart and ripped apart, and the negative propaganda is pretty strong. Like, recently, my daughter just graduated high school, within the last couple of years, and towards the end of, right before her graduation, we went and saw, she's in the choir, and it was the school I went to in high school. Like, all of my kids went to my high school, which is kind of cool. And it was amazing seeing and feeling the difference of what that building was like now. There's all these little things that have happened that made me go, you know what, there's a bigger, more spiritual picture here that people need to look at. So, let's see. Chris Howard, be safe. We're guys, we don't ever grow up, we just grow old. That's true. What am I thinking about Kamala Harris? Not answering that. I keep hearing about job shortages, and somewhere inside myself I can't wait to get sent to the house. Buck Brown, you are correct about politics. The money I make barely moves the needle anyways, pays the bills, just passing time away. Buck Brown says, same here, but no matter how hard I try, I can't seem to get my boss to fire me. Peaceful protest, right? uh, the Confederate war general. Do you see the rates getting better? No. In fact, I meant to do it Friday, but the DAT trend lines, which is free, you don't need a DAT board for that. There was a sharp decline in rates for this month in van and also in flatbed. And yeah, it's going to be difficult. David Edwards, morning all. Stopped at the Beacon before parking for the weekend. If the South is so bad, why are we still this day being invaded by them? Stop worrying. The Republicans are not going to do anything except complain. It's all they ever do. Look, here's my politics, right? Here we go. Ready? How can I put this in simple terms? And I talked about this last weekend. The way you control a massive amount of people is you have to be able to be creative on mass crowd manipulation. And everybody's got an agenda, but the agenda for the highest people on this earth is much bigger than our illusion of choice that we think we have. Both sides are claiming that it's going to be the worst thing for our country. Both sides, okay? Both sides think that they are right. Both sides cannot be convinced. And people don't like being told that they're being fooled, which is why things will never get better. They're only going to get worse. And you literally have the common sense that a person says that they're going to make changes even though they've already been in the office and haven't made any changes except for the worse. And then that person is literally going, now I'm going to make some changes if you vote for me. And when you look at how they're manipulating emotion and how they're manipulating the masses, you have to realize that it's two sides of the same bird, opposite sides of the same bird. It is about control. It's about compliance, regardless of which side of the fence you are. And it's a play of emotions, and what it does is I look at the good and evil aspect. And the idolatry that's going on. And I don't know there's just, we're being played, for lack of a better term. We are being played. That's it. Like, you know, when you go into a beehive, you have to stir up the bees. You use smoke, right? Use smoke to get the bees to move so you can get to the honey. And that's essentially what's happening on a global scale. We're being stirred up. Smoke is being poured on us so we don't see the truth of what's really happening. We get all angry, we get all defensive, and then once we finally settle down and get back to our homes, the honey's gone. And this happens, and it's getting worse every 4 years. Each person that is wanting to be president claims that they're going to be the savior of this country, when in reality the manipulation from the corporate, gurus is who's going to still be in control. If Trump gets in, they're going to do everything they can to fight against everything that he's trying to do. If Kamala gets in, everybody's going to fight against everything that she's wanting to do. And in reality, we just figure out that our honey's gone and we just want to be left alone in our hives. Comply, consume, and conform. That's what they want, regardless of who wins. Because I believe that they're not the people in true power. So, there you go. Comply, consume, conform. Well, Mr. B says, so sorry to tell everyone, but America, the America we knew, is dead and gone. That's the thing. That's something that I'm trying to say here, is that the Republic's been lost. And the sooner that people can figure that out, the sooner we can get to trying to get it back. It's as simple as that. So the candidates I'm voting for, I'm going to look at their actual policies, if they've even done anything. Now, I know that money was better under Trump. He treated the country like a business. But then, what damages did the trade war do? It's at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do about it. There's no control. The part that I'm probably most worried about is people's reactions when a candidate makes it or doesn't make it. And that could happen either way. So, can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, right? Comply, consume, conform. That is a song. LBC, you are correct. I got to remember that. Text that to me so I remember. Comply, consume, conform. That would be a good song title. And yeah, you're on track. Good to see you, LBC. 48 days into the carnivore diet, clean carnivore, not hot dogs and lunch meat and processed crap. Just pure, unadulterated, mostly beef, some chicken. So, yep, you've been watching. Cool, thank you. I feel great. I got Shannon Thomas on board with it. TJ's been doing it too, and Shannon's like a whole different person now. She's like on fire. Her social media has exploded with the things that I've been trying to tell people for the last couple of years. Which, let's talk about that. So, have you guys heard of? This is an example of what I'm talking about when it comes to how we're just meant to consume, comply, and conform. Comply, consume, and conform. And this is going to make sense, right? Have you guys heard of atrazine? Now, I remember years ago when I was driving, listening to Howard Stern, and he had Alex Jones on there. So, now, just when Alex Jones was in a groove, Howard would interrupt him. Like, I usually enjoy Howard Stern's interviews, but for the last 5 years, he's been very interrupting. And he's more interested in the guest's sexual orientation or sexual escapades versus how they started their career, the hardships that they had, you know, that kind of crap. And anyways, Alex Jones said something about gay fish or gay frogs, and I'm like, and Howard Stern just kind of like was stopped in his tracks. He's like, what are you talking about? So the other day, that came up. Now, if you look at the current conditions and the current propaganda and the current situation, the well is definitely poisoned, right? So I started looking that up. So I found a chemical called atrazine, which is what they spray plants with. Okay? Atrazine is a chlorinated herbicide of the triazine class. It is used to prevent pre-emergence broadleaf weeds in crops such as corn, soybean, and sugar cane. It's also prevalent on turf such as golf courses and residential lawns. Atrazine's primary manufacturer is Syngenta and is one of the most widely used herbicides in the United States, Canada, and Australia. Its use was banned in the European Union in 2004 when the EU found groundwater levels exceeding the limits set by regulators, and Syngenta could not show that this could be prevented nor that these levels were safe. Okay? So I thought, what does atrazine do to the body? It is an endocrine disruptor that can cause a range of side effects in humans and animals, including, if it's consumed in large amounts, atrazine can cause nosebleeds, facial swelling, salivation, drooping eyelids, goosebumps, muscle weakness, fatigue, tremor, and difficulty breathing. Long-term effects. This is where it gets interesting. Atrazine can cause reproductive dysfunction, behavioral abnormalities, Karen, anyone? Impaired fetal growth, birth defects, and cancers, including non-Hodgkin lymphoma, breast, and prostate cancer. It can also harm the liver, kidneys, lungs, and endocrine system. It can also cause neuroinflammation, apoptosis, and accelerated brain aging. In males, atrazine can shrink testicles, reduce sperm count, and even make males grow ovaries. Now, there are studies have shown that a lot of soy products actually create estrogen in men. It makes sense now. And so, there's a government website where they actually studied about the frogs. It's right there on the interwebs. Now, I'm not going to read that article because it's a lot of science and a lot of big words. I'll put it in the chat. Oh, it won't let me do links for some reason. Let's try it. No. That's a government website, and it says, yeah, there's some truth to this. So, the problem that Alex Jones faces is that It's kind of like the street preachers in Christianity. They get on the corner and they yell at everybody, and they yell and they yell, and they weaponize the Bible, and they tell you that this is going to happen and this is going to happen and this is going to happen, and when it never happens, it turns people off. That aggressiveness turns people off. And while Alex is saying things with urgency, the propaganda against him has been strong enough that there are a lot of people that won't take him seriously. And so, like Howard Stern, he's like, "Hey, frogs, you don't know what you're talking about. Jeez, you're out there in left field, you know." And but when a massive amount of the mob believes one thing, you seem to be this, and you're the sane one, people are going to think you're the freak. And so it's not the message, it's the messenger. And so any YouTuber that touches Alex Jones, you know, they get like, it's like he's got this target on his back. Now, here's the thing. Here's how I believe. So if somebody is so aggressive against somebody, there's got to be a reason. Like if we were just indifferent, like if what Alex Jones said had no truth to it and we were just indifferent, then we would just, okay, just go yell in your corner. Go yell on the corner. Just do your thing, right? But, you know, and same thing with Trump, right? There's this such an aggressive nature against him that makes you go, wow. And look, there are people that take Christianity and they go, you know, there are people indifferent to religion. Like, you're Christian, Muslim, Jew, I don't care, you know, I'm just, you know, I judge you off of character, not your religion, right? You're indifferent to it. But it seems like Christianity is the biggest religion that everybody picks on. You know, and there's a term out there, the devil even believes. Well, you know, that's kind of why are people so vehemently against something? Because they know it's the truth. And they don't want the truth out there. The truth goes against God. Or the truth, going against truth is going against God. So if you look at science thinks that they can make food better. You know, this world thinks that they can make food better than God. This world thinks that they can make people choose their gender better than God. People think that they can heal the body better than God with the pharmaceutical. And it's all tied in. The devil hates you because you were born in the image of God. So he's going to do everything to destroy that. And that was what was unleashed in 2020. So. All right, Cowboy, thanks for coming in. Math is hard, science is harder. It is, LBC, it is. Last 3 weeks have been the weirdest traffic patterns. That must be an election year traffic pattern. I don't know. I never really recognized a different pattern to traffic during election year. Now, one of the things that you might be seeing is there's a lot of people protesting in a lot of places, like the DNC. They're protesting out there, and you have people like that don't want either candidate that are out in these conventions. You know, and then you got the people protesting for Palestine, which I'm not going to get in that argument either, but people are just upset. It's almost like something is causing them to be more angry and confused, and their hormones are all screwed up. Atrazine. You know, if I mean, look at baby formula, infant formula. It's made with soy and corn. And then you wonder why your 10-year-old son has breasts, even though he eats fairly okay and is still active. Not a coincidence, right? Now, when it comes to Ozempic, they're now prescribing Ozempic like candy. And that stuff is expensive too. We were at a family function, a friend's family function. And there must have been 3 or 4 people talking about how the doctor put them on Ozempic. And I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. Meanwhile, everybody's eating cake and ice cream, and I'm like... And they're telling people that if you take Ozempic, you can eat whatever you want. You'll just eat less of it. That's some pretty evil stuff right there. Yeah. I believe people are so upset because they're pissed, poor, broke, they're screaming for help but don't know how to ask for it. That's true, never enough. I believe that. That's one of the elements. And the internet velocity. I remember when Obama was running for office, I had just started trucking, and I'd never seen like people get so pro about a candidate or so against about a candidate as much as when Obama first came into the first campaign. And there were people that were looking at him as the savior of the country. Like, there were people of the same color saying, I'm not going to have to worry about anything once he's in office. And it seems like we've had that same ideology every single time now. And that's what the candidates go for. The only people that could save this country is ourselves. And we just got to pick the candidate that's going to make it easier to do that. But we can't, idolatry is not good. A person that could do no wrong, that's dangerous grounds. That's dangerous grounds. And we can't behave like that. These people putting hold on a second. Oh, it's my son. Somebody went on the porch and it's my son. Hopefully you didn't lock me out. Okay, good. These people putting the image of Jesus or image of Trump's face on Jesus, that's dumb. He's not Jesus. He's not the second coming of Christ. He's not the Antichrist either. He's just a politician that understands the working man a little bit better than most other people. But even then, that's still disconnect because he was born with a silver spoon. So he can't. You got to put faith in the right places, so you can still judge the people that we've hired them to do a job. So, how can organic be bad for you? Want to taste a drastic difference? Regular ketchup and then also get organic ketchup. Put them side by side and taste them. The organic tastes much better. Did I say that organic was bad for you? The ketchup, well, is it truly organic though? Because if it's made with sugar, that sugar is still treated with the chemicals. Think about this, Don. All right. Why is it that the ketchup with the least amount of ingredients that's made the old-fashioned way, it costs more than the other one that's got 20 ingredients to it? But the way I look at it is, I don't want ketchup at all. What is ketchup? Smashed tomato puree with sugar in it. You don't need that. I mean, like, you know how people gross out when they're like, oh, you put ketchup on eggs, or oh, you put ketchup on steak. Oh my gosh, you put ketchup on a steak. That's punishment, right? But like, if as a kid, if I overcook, if my steak was overcooked, I would put ketchup on it, right? Because that was the only way it could taste better. Whereas if you have a nice, rare, medium rare pound of real cattle flesh, you don't need ketchup for that. Same thing with burgers. If you cook burgers right, they don't need ketchup. And so essentially when you go to McDonald's and get the burger, what's the first thing you taste? Is the ketchup and the pickles. And next thing you know, you've consumed the burger and you barely tasted it. Because it was all that rotten cheese, tons of ketchup, and the pickles. That never break up. They always you always eat a whole slice in one bite. Yeah, give me a thumbs up. So it doesn't matter if it's organic or not. It's still not. Yeah. Like, nothing processed, man. Nothing processed. Ketchup is a process. If you look at, go watch The Food That Built America. It was on the History Channels. I think it's on demand. And look at the history of Heinz and Kraft. You know, look at the history of how they started developing ketchups and how gross it was. Like, it's just, you know, like you're eating the condiment. You're not eating the food. So, I mean, ketchup grosses me out, man. And I used to love it. Look, I was that guy. You know those little cups you get at Wendy's. You put your ketchup in. You go in there and you go, you know, and it's like you got your little cup and you're there with 15 little cups. And then one day, I saw this hack that if you take the cup, if it's paper, and you separate each thing, now you've got a whole platform that you can put a ton more ketchup on. And because the fries have no taste, you're essentially eating ketchup with fries instead of fries with ketchup. And next thing you know, you've got this sugar buzz. All you can taste is salt and sugar, and you don't feel full, or if you do feel full, you feel like crap. Rinse, repeat, and that's why everybody's sick. That's what ketchup reminds me of. If there's any condiment I would use, it would be salsa. Salsa on anything. Hamburgers, except steak. You don't want to put salsa on steak. I like ketchup, but we don't make it here. The wife has 500 jars of pasta sauce from the garden. There you go. If you look at the list of ingredients for ketchup that go to Europe and that go to here, the ingredients are far different because of the bans that the European Union has put on a lot of our food products. And when you do a carnivore way of eating like I have, it's essentially trying to get all that stuff out of your system. You know, it's not about the weight loss. A lot of people get on these Facebook groups like, oh, I've been doing carnivore for 30 days and I haven't lost but 2 pounds. You know, but this isn't a magic pill. This isn't a magic shot of Ozempic for $1,000. It takes time to heal, and we're all basically frogs in the pot of hot water, and it's starting to boil. And you can see it when you go out publicly. You can see it when you go to amusement parks. You can see it when you go to the grocery store. You know, every grocery store has like 10 of those, you know, uh, handicap carts now, those electric carts. And the majority of the people that are in those carts are in those carts because of the diet. And if you look at what's in those carts, they're not changing their diet. Like, they literally can't see what's going on to their bodies. And that makes me sad. It depresses me. So, and so little things like ketchup and birthday cake and donuts just sound and smell gross to me. The other day, or yesterday actually, we have these big rolls that we got for free from our church. And I'm like, ugh. And thankfully no one's really like feasted on them, but they needed to be cut. So I cut one, and I remember smelling it like, ugh, this just smells gross. And that's a great place to be. Like, once you clean up and eat nothing but anything natural, you kind of, you kind of like get over it. And, and as far as vegetables go, I'm wondering if a lot of the natural reactions that our bodies have to vegetables are caused by how they're grown. And evidence is like, okay, so check this out. LVC, I hope you're still in here. So there's a deal about watermelons right now. Have you guys seen this? There's a YouTube channel called Doug and Stacy Pioneer or whatever, and these are people that live off the grid 100%. Like, they don't even have a running toilet. And my wife sent me a video of theirs because she watches them on occasion, and it was about the watermelons. They brought a watermelon home, and it was foamy. And then so they did some research, and they found out that people were buying these watermelons and they were foaming before they can get them home. And also, when you open them up, they had the consistency of raw meat. And it kind of like when Sterling did the thing about the meat glue, it kind of reminded me of that. It was like, it was just, something was off about all these watermelons. And it's not just here in America, it's all over the world. And so I think these GMO seedless watermelons, they're finally screwed up. And so, those of you who run reefer, those of you who run produce know that they put gases in these trailers so the fruit will ripen at the right time. Tomatoes are picked while they're green, and then they're ripened in transit. And if you eat a tomato now, it's just like a bland piece of cardboard. And to me, that's weird. It's interesting. It's like, it's gross. Law Dog, I'm so glad I came across your live chat. I've been desperately looking for watermelon seeds. Okay. It's funny. Let me ask the Google something here. How many YouTube videos are there right now? Currently, there are 4 billion YouTube videos on YouTube right this minute. And you've chosen mine to watch. This is great. I had a 1 in 4 billion chance to be on your feed. Man, you should play the lottery today, dude, because that's great. So thank you. Make sure you hit the thumbs up or thumbs down. Don't matter. Homegrown food is the best heirloom. Let me ask you a personal question. You could answer it or not. What made you go off the diet originally when you started way back? Okay, so that's a great question, never enough. Here's the deal. So I was 388 pounds at my highest. got on the keto thing, got on the rabbit holes, got on the YouTube, got on all the social media, and learned about the lies. LVC was part of that journey, and Michael Williams, bunch of people. Got down to 255. My weight gain started because I was home more. I actually lost weight while driving a truck, and I gained it coming back home. And here's a few things that happened. I still avoided sugar for the most part, but if there was a birthday, I still had cake then. And what happens with an addict is if you start something, it's hard to stop. But I never completely fell off the wagon. But what I did start to do is well, maybe I can have my keto cheats. The keto marketed crap, the keto bread, the keto cereal, the keto friendly crackers, the keto friendly protein bars. And my cortisol got jacked up, which, causes weight gain from the foods I was eating, from the sleep I was getting, and from the stress from, the COVID world and the riot world and being on the internet too much. And so I wasn't sleeping right. And I had this false image that I was eating healthy because I was eating, well, it says keto friendly on it, and all I did was spend more money on processed food that was just processed differently. And then I also went back to drinking alcohol. Now, the thing about, I wasn't a heavy drinker, but the thing with alcohol is it destroys the gut microbiome, which can affect your mood, it can affect your cortisol, and it can affect how your body processes food. So it's not that I fell off the wagon per se. I just thought I was more off the wagon than I thought I was. And so this latest carnivore journey was about just being dogmatic. Because look, when I got into the full-blown keto mode, I was fighting everything and everybody. I was having arguments with family. I was having arguments with friends. I was having arguments with random people on the internet about just how poisonous this food is. And after a while, you just get tired of fighting. You get tired of being the odd person out. You get tired of being that oddball weird guy that's not eating with the rest of the people, or that ordered his hamburger without a bun. And I just got tired of the fight. So I was 80% behaving, but still on Fridays I would have a hamburger with a bun. And those little cheats just kind of crept up because I had lost my weight before the COVIDs. So, and it's slowly over, the course of 4 years, it went up and up. And then I think my peak, I got up to 300, and that was at Matt's at the Mid-America Truck Show the last time I went. And I started discovering fasting, intermittent fasting, longer fasting, and that helped me clean a few things out. But I was still not being dogmatic about it. I still was not being super ultra focused on it. And after my trip to Nevada, I was like, you know what, I'm in this for life. And I'm only 20 pounds from my lowest, and I feel amazing. And I'm back to my old self before the vid, before, I started cheating with the keto friendly, products. So there you go. I started a yeast-free, sugar-free, and wheat-free diet in the 90s, and that was a time when there were not many options besides cooking everything from scratch, and it was extremely expensive. Yeah, I mean, it's hard, but at the end of the day, you're saving money, because if you're doing it right, you're not eating as much. Like, shopping for me is simple. I'm going to go to Costco today. I'm going to go right to the meat department, grab a few things, and I'm done. And that's it. I mean, it's so simple. And carnivore is, if you do it right, is very similar. Now, I'm not a health expert. I'm not a health guru. I'm not a trained individual. I just know what's worked for me. And being carnivore can mimic fasting because you're not taking any sugar in whatsoever. And I'm not going to get into the complete science of it, but I know that that's what's been working for me. And I know that if I become less dogmatic about it at all, that I could fall into bad habits. So that's why I'm in this. I'm 48 days into this, and I feel great. So if I can lose 20 pounds in 48 days, then I could probably lose another 20 pounds in the next 48 days. I plan on being on this for at least 90. And a lot of it, Log Dog, is stress management. You know, a lot of us turn to food for stress. A lot of us turn to food for anxiety. A lot of us turn to food for boredom. And then social activity. Every time one of our drivers comes through Springfield, if I say, hey man, let's go have lunch or breakfast or whatever, then I wouldn't be dogmatic during those trips either. And I've got to go back to doing that. I have. We went to a pizza place called Old Chicago, and they had burgers, thankfully. And so I ordered a burger with no bun, with cheese and bacon. So the cheese probably wasn't ideal. And then a chicken sandwich with Swiss cheese, because Swiss cheese is probably the cleanest cheese you can eat, besides raw cheese, or cheese made from raw milk. And my cheat was broccoli and avocado. That was it. That was what I had. So, yeah, I live with the Simpsons. You're in Providence, Rhode Island. Thank you for your answer. You answered my question. I was thinking about doing the keto-friendly stuff, but I'm afraid it'd start cheating in. Right. And so here's the deal, Never Enough. I avoided those products in the beginning because I had to quit cold turkey. Like I didn't like, it's kind of like smoking and you get the nicotine patch. I didn't want the patch. I didn't want that. I didn't want that help, right? And I wanted to change the habit, not just the food item. And as Law Dog has pointed out, the keto friendly things are expensive. Like their loaves of bread are like $6. Well, that's more expensive when you eat half a loaf in a day because it tastes so good. And that's the problem. I'm not defeating my addiction to these cravings. So in the beginning, I avoided those things like as much as I possibly could. It wasn't until I stopped avoiding those things that I started gaining my weight back. So that told me like, process is process, no matter if it's good for you or not, So that's the big play. And that goes back to our political statement. So we're being manipulated. Oh, do you want to lose weight the natural way through keto? Well, buy our keto bread, buy our keto snacks, buy our keto, friendly crackers and still have crackers. And buy our keto friendly candy bars and still have candy bars. You're not solving the problem by doing that. The idea is to not need those things at all, whether they're good for you or not. And none of it's good for you. I do not think the cheating days are in a way a good idea. No way, it's wrong to cheat in any way. That's true. Like, if you're married, you'll go like, well, it's only on Saturdays every 3 months that, once every 3 months that I cheat on my wife. No, you're still cheating, right? So, I typically limit my bread intake as well. The little bit of bread I eat is homemade sourdough bread. Homemade, if you can get flour that's not been tainted with atrazine or any kind of chemical, then that's probably like what we used to live off of. you know, but I'm more of a primal, like, let's go back a few, before we were agricultural kind of approach. I have some specialty items here now, definitely going back to eating just meat and vegetables, only some, no nightshade foods or never fruit, very soon. There you go. Carnivore just makes that easy. It simplifies. Look, I'm a guy that likes to take the big aerial view and simplify everything, and that's what carnivore way of eating has been for me. But if you have to have any kind of sweetened stuff, anything at all, a tiny eighth of a teaspoon of honey can help. It's natural. Don't use a metal spoon because it's got natural enzymes that are actually good for you. And some carnivores consider that a carnivore item because it is animal based. So, I definitely going to eat some of the Armenian foods my late godmother cooked and froze before I start this live it again. There you go. There you go. So, anyways, thanks for watching. This has been a good outlet for me. Thanks for watching. Strength for today, over for tomorrow. Have a good Saturday. Peace.